This is problem number 9 from 7.2, a system of equation with 3 variables. Okay, I'm going to show you how I came up with these equations. It says a person invested $7,800, one part at 8%, one part at 11%, another at 13%. Okay, so this is how much they invested. This is how much they invested the first part, which is 8%. This is how much they invested 11%, and this is how much they invested at the 13%. Okay, it says the total income from the 3 investments is $912. Okay, so if I make 8% off of this one, if I take 0.08 times x, that's how much interest we made off of that one. 0.11 times the second one, the y, times y, and then 0.13 times z. Altogether, they made $912. Okay, then this last sentence says if the amount of money invested 13%, I guess it would go right here. I'm sorry. If the amount invested at 13%, which is your z, was 1,200 more than, that's plus, the amounts invested at 8%, 11%. It says x plus y. Okay, that's the third equation there. To put these in the correct form, I want the x's, the y's, and the z's lined up. So what I did was, these two equations are fine. This equation, I subtracted x and I subtracted y. So I'm going to change the third equation. Okay, the next step you want to do is decide what variable do you want to eliminate. I decided to eliminate x, so I took these two equations, equations 1 and equation 3 together. So I wrote this right here. Here's equation 1. Here's equation 3. The x is already opposites. In fact, the y's are opposites too. So if I add these two equations together, I just end up with 2z's equal to 9,000. So z is equal to 4,500. Okay, so I have z. Now let's go to the next part here. Okay, now I decide to eliminate z. I'm sorry, x. I decided to eliminate x at this next step. Okay, so this is the second equation right here, just written down right here. And if I eliminate x, I want this one to be the opposite, so I multiply this equation times 0.08. So 0.08 times this whole equation I wrote down here. So 0.08 times x, and I labeled that right here, 0.08 times equation 1. 0.08 times x, 0.08 times y, 0.08 times z, and then 0.08 times 7,800. I should say negative 0.08 times 7,800 gives me negative 624. Okay, so again, this is 0.08 times this equation plus this equation right here. If I add those up, I get no x's. I get 0.03y, 0.05z is equal to 2,800. Okay, at this point, instead of z right here, I can plug in 4,500. So I plug it in right there. And over here, I kind of did some more work than what was on the sheet there. So 0.03y, if I take 0.05 times 4,500, that gives me 225, and that's equal to 288. So if I bring the 225 over, I get 0.03y is equal to 63. Divide both sides by 0.03, and I get 2,100. Okay, this last one I really shows much work for, so I thought I would explain this one more. I took the very first equation, just rewrote it first. Okay, here's the very first equation. I'm trying to find x. I really don't. That's what I'm trying to find here. I know y, and I know z. So I plugged in for y, which I found from here. I plugged in for z, which I found there. And I'm trying to find x. So again, this is what I'm trying to find, the part that I just covered up there. So I have x plus y, which is right here, plus z, which is right there, is equal to 7,800. And again, this equation came from the very first equation at the top of the sheet there. Okay, from here, I add those two together. I got 6,600. Subtract that from each side, and then finally here I get my answer for x. So here's x, here's y, and here's z. You can just plug those in right there.